A pleasant day to you. Great to have you here. Thank you for this valuable time and giving us an opportunity to present our company, our product and services. On behalf of our management, officers and staffs, we are more than glad to be in service to you. Who is NCB, New Century Books? New Century Books was registered as a single proprietor outfit in May 12, 1998 with a noble purpose of serving clients on a more personal basis and engaging in a long-term and meaningful business relationship. It was initially run by a one-woman man who multi-tasked running the outfit, from saleswoman, delivery person, accounting and admin, all rolled into one. It was not an easy endeavor indeed, but fate is kind, and after few months, the husband and wife tandem of Jonalyn Nava Cabasal and Carlos Cabasal was born. Its clientele in 1998 up to the present has immensely increased, steadily building its reputation as one of the most dynamic and progressive bookseller in the country today. Mission: to provide quality and effective educational materials in various forms that will help in nation building to produce globally competitive graduates. Vision: we envision to be an active partner, player and game changer in the book industry, providing educational materials in all various forms but more importantly, total customer satisfaction in the new normal environment. Philosophy: providing quality and effective education through quality educational materials and services through print and multimedia resources. Well-known publisher and suppliers. We are able to establish the good business relationship with various leading international publishers in United Kingdom, USA, Italy, India and Singapore. Cengage Learning Asia Private Limited, Elsevier, Singapore Private Limited. Jones and Bartlett Learning. Bloomsbury Publishing Inc. Sage Publications Asia Pacific Private Limited. Oxford Publishing SDN, PhD. We shall aggressively continue to partner with them in uplifting and improving library collections to accelerate our educational standards to world-class and at par with international educational institutions. New Century Books is located in 4th floor, Topaz Building, 101 Camias Road, Malaya, Quezon City. Our expanding organization, which started in Quezon City at present, 3 branches located in Cebu, Davao, Iloilo City and 3 satellite offices located in Zamboanga, Tacloban City and Puerto Princesa. Website: www.newcenturybooksph.com. Email: sales@newcenturybooksph.com.
You can log into Nearpod by visiting nearpod.com, choosing Login. You can either sign up for a new account this way, log in with a username and password, or use the single sign-on buttons with Google or Office 365 depending on what kind of email address you have. I'm going to choose Login with Google. Once I do this, it automatically takes me to my Nearpod My Library, which is the home base where all of your Nearpod lessons can live. You can also find ready-made lessons in the Nearpod Lesson Library, find reports here, or launch live or student-paced lessons. And that's how you log into Nearpod. Get ready to watch. It's time to learn about Nearpod's Control Center. The Control Center gives teachers special powers to enhance the live lesson experience. This is the teacher screen when you're logged into Nearpod and have opened a session. To show you from left to right, this button allows you to exit the lesson. This shows the code, and you can click it and the code will encompass more of the screen and give you a few other ways to share the code. This allows you to access the reports from this Nearpod lesson. It's not the only way, but it is one way to get to the reports for this specific session. This allows you to end the session. When you do this, the code will no longer work for students. This button is the Add Activity button, which will allow you to use Nearpod features on the fly. You can add in a website, an open-ended question, a draw-out activity, make a new slide, or insert a true-false question that wasn't part of the original presentation. This button allows you to change to Student View. When doing this, it allows you to display what the students see on your projected screen. To switch back, you can click the Switch to Teacher View. On the bottom, we have 3 important buttons. This button shows who has logged into this session. I have 27 people. I can remove people from the session by clicking this button. This button is a scrubber, which allows you to move to different slides within the lesson. And you can actually hide student names while projecting by clicking this Hide Student Names button. These buttons on the side advance the presentation, or go backward. Welcome to the new Nearpod My Library interface. I want to walk you through some things that have changed and that will help you to navigate even easier within your Nearpod My Library. First of all, we have the home base. When you click this house button, it returns you to this screen to where your My Library is. You can find your ready-made lessons in the Nearpod Lesson Library by clicking here. And these are lessons ready to download and use with students. I'm going to return by clicking the house. And now I'm back at My Library. Additionally, you have your school and district libraries located here that you can access lessons saved to those specific libraries. You have on the left here additional access to your supplemental curriculum packages that have been purchased through Nearpod. Your reports can be found here, as well as teacher resources, FAQ documents, and you can learn about new features here under What's New. This plus sign up here in the upper right corner will allow you to create a new lesson in Google Slides or in the traditional method in Nearpod. You can also add a folder. This button allows you to access your account options. You can change them by clicking this gear here. This screen shows the account options where they can be changed. You can still launch lessons live or student paced from My Library. You just hover over them, choose the method by which you would like to launch them. You can edit them here. You can still share them in the way that you did before. In addition, folders can now have subfolders added to them, and so this helps you organize your library even further. And that's the Nearpod My Library home screen. I can create my own collection of ready-made lessons from the Nearpod Lesson Library. As you can see here, I'm in My Library in the Nearpod menu. To get to the Nearpod Lesson Library, I click this button on the left sidebar. This takes me into the Nearpod Lesson Library where I can search for a specific lesson. I'll start with fractions. These search results return a variety of lessons for a variety of grade levels that have to do with fractions. If I'd like to narrow that search, I can do that on the sidebar like this. As you can see, I've selected 5th grade math. This returns lessons that are specific to 5th grade math. I can preview any of these lessons by hovering over the thumbnail and clicking it. Here, I can preview the lesson to see if it's what I want, and if it is, I click Add to My Library, then changes to Show in My Library. If I click here, I can launch the lesson. This screen allows me to launch it live or student paced, edit it, or share it. I can also return back to My Library by clicking the blue house in the corner. And I am now able to launch the lesson by hovering over it, clicking Live Lesson and Student Paste. I can edit it here or preview it.
Introducing Nearpod, an award-winning student engagement platform that comes with thousands of ready-to-run interactive K-12 lessons. Nearpod is a platform that easily allows teachers to create, download, and teach interactive lessons across all student devices, including Chromebooks, iPads, iPhones, and Android devices. Teachers can easily upload their existing PowerPoints, PDFs, Google Slides, and Sways, and convert them into interactive Nearpod lessons by adding engaging activities like quizzes, polls, draw-its, open-ended questions, fill-in-the-blanks games, and 3D objects. With Nearpod VR, teachers can take their students on a virtual field trip anywhere in the world. Teachers launch a live lesson. Students enter a lesson code, and the lesson is synced to all student devices. Teachers can also launch student-paced lessons, which allow students to complete a lesson on their own time, wherever they are. Teachers get real-time feedback on student understanding and can access post-lesson reports to assess individual and class performance. Nearpod also has a library of thousands of ready-to-run, standards-aligned K-12 lessons across all subjects from a curated list of trusted publishers. All lessons are editable and customizable to meet the needs of individual teachers and students. Nearpod is the most comprehensive student engagement platform that your students will love.
You can find ready-made virtual reality lessons right in the Nearpod lesson library. We'll go there by clicking here on the left sidebar and choose Nearpod VR. Here you can see some collections of Nearpod VR lessons that include touring colleges, Nearpod explorations, and some other great lessons that also tie in with VR across a variety of subject areas. I'll open up Nearpod explorations. You can see there's a variety of lessons and lesson bundles that cover several subject areas. These World War II lessons use virtual reality to teach a variety of concepts related to this historical event. You can add any of these to your library, and that's how you can utilize the virtual reality lessons available in the Nearpod lesson library. When editing or creating a Nearpod lesson, it's easy to add interactive activities. I'm now in the Nearpod edit screen, and I can click Add Slide, Add Activity. Here I can find all of the activities I can choose from to add to my lesson to provide an interactive experience for students. I'll show each one of these briefly. Time to Climb is a gamified activity where students are given points based on speed and accuracy. If I click Time to Climb, it allows me to build out my questions, and I can even choose images to be answer types as well. And it builds like a quiz. You choose your correct answer option. I'll now show another activity, the open-ended question. This allows your students to respond in a sentence or a few words. You can also add reference images, videos, audio. You can record audio right into the question. You could attach a PDF for the students to refer to or send them to a website. You can also utilize this with math characters. So you can see here if I click this button, it allows me to add exponents, operators, angles, functions, and equations. So I'm able to add in all of those features here with my open-ended question. I'll show one more activity, the matching pairs. To set this up, I click Add Pair. I can choose text and an image to correspond that I could either add my own images or do a Google image search. This is one pair. I can add another one. And I can match this with words. So I now have two pairs here. I can add a timer to this activity, which counts down and gives the students a finite amount of time to complete the activity. But I can click Save. Another activity I can add is the quiz. Here, much like in Time to Climb, you type your question. You can choose a correct answer. You can have more than one correct answer, but for it to be counted right for the students, they will have to have selected all of the correct answers. You can also add reference images, videos, audio, an audio recorder, a PDF viewer, or web content. You can also add a timer to this activity as well. So if you wanted to give them a finite amount of time to complete the quiz, they could do that by clicking here. The Draw It activity is very popular here. It allows students to annotate on the screen. You can have just a blank draw it where it's just a white screen to draw on, or you can upload a background image that you have personally, or you can even search for one. Here I found from my Google image search a Venn diagram I'd like to use to have them fill out. From here I can click this arrow and I can add instructions to answer the question. I can add similar reference images that you saw before with the other question types, and can also add a timer. The Collaborate board allows you to have students see each other's responses. It's set up with entering a topic, and you'd write a description. And you can add a picture. can also change the background of what my Collaborate board might look like. A poll is another popular interactive activity. It's set up as multiple choice, much like the quiz, but you can see here there's no correct answer. You can add a timer to the poll and the same reference images we talked about before. The final two activities you have here are fill in the blanks and the memory test. Fill in the blanks allows students to drag and drop words. It does not send data back to the teacher, but is a fun way for students to engage in the content. The memory test, similarly, they match pairs, but it's like concentration, and then they answer a question following. That data also doesn't go back to the teacher. So these are the interactive activities, and enjoy. Happy building. You can log into Nearpod by visiting nearpod.com, choosing Login. You can either sign up for a new account this way, log in with a username and password, or use the single sign-in buttons with Google or Office 365, depending on what kind of email address you have. I'm going to choose Login with Google. Once I do this, it automatically takes me to my Nearpod My Library, which is the home base where all of your Nearpod lessons can live. You can also find ready-made lessons in the Nearpod lesson library, find reports here, or launch live or student-paced lessons. And that's how you log into Nearpod. Logging into your Nearpod account in Canvas is easy to do. First, you log into Canvas. Then you open your course. Any course will do. Then on the left sidebar, you'll see Nearpod. Click Nearpod. In this step, it is critical that you log into your correct Nearpod district or school account, as those are the only kinds of accounts that work within the Nearpod LTI in Canvas. You click Yes, I understand, and you can log in with your email, or you can choose one of these single sign-on options if your school or district email is a Google email or an Office 365 email. Once you've logged into Nearpod through Canvas, you can access everything your Nearpod lesson library, My Library, Nearpod Learning Labs, etc. You can see here if I hover over Explore, I have access to all of these libraries, and all lessons can be launched from My Library as shown here. Logging into your Nearpod account is a one-time process in Canvas. Once you've logged in once, every time you log into Canvas, you'll be able to view your whole library here. Teachers can launch lessons in Nearpod when you're logged in and in My Library as shown here. You simply hover over the lesson you'd like to launch for students, choose live lesson or student paced. A live lesson is one where the teacher will control the pace of the lesson and will control which slides are displayed on student devices. A student paced lesson, a student can go at their own pace without the teacher controlling it. To show how to launch a live lesson, I click Live Lesson, and a code is automatically generated. This is the code I share with students. I either share it with them by writing it on the board, displaying it on my projector, sending it to Google Classroom, or sharing a link, and that's how you share a Nearpod lesson with your students. A student need only go to nearpod.com and enter the code as shown here. The code is not case sensitive. Once they have done this, they'll be prompted to enter their name, and then they click Join Session. The teacher can then control how the slides change on the student screen. In Nearpod My Library, you can now add folders and subfolders. I'll show this by creating a folder using this plus sign, choosing Folder, and I'll name it, and click Create. Once that folder has been created, I can click the little arrow next to the title and choose Add Lessons. If I want to add any of these lessons, I just click the circle next to them, and I can click Add. I can also search for specific ones to add as well. Another way I can add lessons to my folder is by dragging and dropping. So I'm going to drag this lesson to my new Google folder, and this one as well. I'm going to open that folder, which now has 2 lessons, and I can click this little arrow, click Share, and this will allow me to share the entire folder, all the lessons within it, with a person. I just type their email, they get an email with a link to download this folder, and they'll have 2 lessons. I can also color this folder. I have these options, so if I want to turn this one orange, I'll go ahead and do that. And I can also create subfolders. So if I click this little arrow again and choose Add Folder, it'll allow me to add a subfolder. And click Create. Now the process to add lessons to the subfolder is similar to what I showed you before, where you can choose them off a list, or I can drag and drop the lesson from my main folder here. So you can see here my Google folder is located here, has 2 lessons in it. One of them is in the main folder while another is in the subfolder. And you can go back several levels for subfolders. And that's how you can organize your Nearpod library using folders. Nearpod reports can be found in a few different ways. The most common way is to find them here under the Reports tab by clicking here. You'll see all of the Nearpod lessons you've launched, and if you open one of these Nearpod lessons, you'll see all of the sessions that have been launched with their timestamps. When I click one of the timestamps, I can get the report overview, where I can see student performance and also download versions of these reports. In Nearpod, you can change your account settings from anywhere when your account has been logged in by going up to the upper right corner, clicking your little picture here, or silhouette if you haven't added a picture. You can add a picture in account settings. I'll show you in just a moment. If you click here, you'll see your type of account and a few other items. The little cog next to your name is where you can actually go in and change your account settings. Once you're here, you can add a picture to personalize your account. You can also go to Advanced, where you can enable or disable various account options. In order for students to be able to have a notes option, this will need to be enabled. If you turn it off, they'll no longer have the tab that allows notes whenever you're doing a lesson, live or student-paced. Showing quiz results in student-paced mode allows your students to see how they performed in a certain quiz. For a formative approach, this can be quite effective. However, students will be able to go back and change their answers based on what they've seen in the results in a student-paced mode. Allowing students to resubmit answers is available to them if this is toggled on, and when you're in a live lesson, every time they submit an answer, they'll have an option to say, "Great, edit answer," where they can then go in and add to or take away from what they've submitted. And then finally, enabling Collaborate for student-paced lessons allows your students to contribute to a Collaborate board at their own pace. However, you don't have the moderation options that you would in a live lesson. You can choose to toggle this on or off here in this menu. To return back to the Nearpod My Library, you can just click the House button, and that sends you right back to your home base. Adding an assignment in Canvas is easy. First, you open the course that you'd like to add the assignment to. Then choose Modules. If you don't have a module, you can click Plus Module, name that module, and then click Add Module. Now that you have a module, it's time to add an assignment to it. I can click the plus sign here, choose Assignment, choose New Assignment, fill in the assignment name, and then choose Add Item. The new assignment will appear as the last assignment in the module, or in this case is the only assignment in the module. This video will show how to add a Google form to a Nearpod lesson. First, you need to create your Google form, or use one that already exists. Set up the form the way you'd want. Now that I've created my form, I want to set it up so it will easily open a Nearpod lesson. First, I'm going to check Settings here, make sure that it does not require a sign-in, and click Save. Then I'm going to click Send. I'm going to copy this link. Now I'm going to go to my Nearpod lesson that I'm working on, and I'm going to add this form. To do this, I click Add Slide, Add Web Content, paste in the link that I copied from my form earlier, and click Save. I can now use this form in my Nearpod lesson. To show what it'll look like, I'm going to choose Preview here, and you can see that your participants will automatically be directed right to your form as shown here. And that's how you add a Google form to your Nearpod lesson. Now we will add Nearpod to your Canvas assignment. First, I open the assignment, then click Edit in the upper right corner here. I can add in points here. And then I'm going to change the submission type to external tool. Next, I'm going to click this Find button to the right of the external tool URL bar. I'm going to scroll down to Find Nearpod. I'm going to click the blue word Nearpod here. This will open up your Nearpod library. From here, you can find the lesson that you'd like to launch, live or student-paced. In this case, I will do a live lesson. Then you just click Select here. Now you can click Save if you don't wish to publish this for students yet, or Save and Publish where it will then be immediately available to students. The lesson is now ready to go for you to drive and for your students to access and participate. To allow for flexibility in instruction, Nearpod has included an Add Activity button to add features and activities on the fly during any Nearpod lesson. To show this, I'm going to show what it looks like on the student screen on the right from the teacher screen on the left. First, I choose Add Activity, and I can actually share an open-ended question. One use case for this might be whenever you want to ask the students a question that maybe the discussion has gone a direction you didn't anticipate and it wasn't part of the original lesson. You can choose open-ended question, type your question, then you can just click Share. As you can see on the student side, they have an opportunity to answer the question, and the teacher has the regular teacher control panel, can see all of the student answers. Once the student has finished their answer, they can click Submit. The teacher can see the answers right away. The students and the teachers have the same functionality as if this activity were part of the original lesson. You can click Share and use these answers to discuss. And this data all goes to Nearpod reports. You can also end the activity by choosing Close this activity. Know that you cannot come back to this question during this live lesson, but the data will be saved in reports. This returns the participants back to the original lesson. Another great feature of the Add Activity button is that you can send participants in your lesson to specific websites. I'll demonstrate this with the Add Activity button, Web Content, and then I'm going to paste in a URL. This is from the teachingchannel.org. I'm going to copy that URL, I'm going to paste it here and click Share. The lesson participants now have the ability to open the web page on their device and see exactly what I want them to see. Once the participants have done what they need to do in the website, the facilitator or teacher can choose Close this activity, and this returns them back to the original lesson. In order to re-access the specific website, you'll have to add that URL again in the same way. You can't go back to it like you would if it were part of the original lesson. You can also include a Draw It activity. This gives the students a way to be able to express what they're thinking with all of the same Draw It tools. This will also be saved in reports. Another feature is that you can add in a slide on the fly. So I'm going to show this with the screenshot that I've been using for training. If I click Slide here, I can then open up a picture in my files. I can add this in. I can annotate right on it. Once it's ready to go, I can then click Submit. This will send it to the student device. Once they have viewed the slide, you can choose Close this activity, and it returns them back to the regularly scheduled program. Another on-the-fly feature I can add is a true-false question. There is value attached. It's like a quiz, so there is a correct answer. I can share this. The students can answer. Just like in a quiz, I can actually share out the results with the class. And this also goes to Nearpod reports. I'd like to now show the data as it is revealed in Nearpod reports. go to Reports, open today's lesson, and I can see here, here's our true-false question, our open-ended question. What is your favorite thing about professional development? I can see that result right here. It also shows in the PDF reports that you would download here. And that's the Add Activities tab. Nearpod has a tool that's standalone called collaborate.nearpod.com, and we can add this as an on-the-fly activity through adding a website. So I'll show you how to do this on the teacher screen on the left. This is the student screen on the right. First, I choose Add Activity, Web Content. Then I open a new tab in my browser, go to collaborate.nearpod.com, name my board, choose Let's Go. At this point, the board is now open for commentary, but I need to send it to the participants in my lesson. So I'm going to choose Invite Collaborators, choose the link, copy this link, go back to my lesson, paste it in here, and then click Share. It's added just like a website on the fly. Once this is sent to the group, they just enter their name, and then they join the board, and they can now share awesome ideas. The teacher can go back to the tab where the Collaborate board was, see who typed the answers, and the students can see all of the answers without the names attached to them. As more ideas are posted, those appear on the board. This board will only be active if the teacher has this tab open. Immediately when the board has been added in this way, an email will come from Collaborate. We'll show you the link to the board where you can actually reopen that board anytime. This email link opens the very same board and gives you the moderating powers to be able to use it again. It's great for ongoing brainstorming and adding additional ideas. As the email says, this board will be active as long as you need. Now that the students have added to the board, we can close this activity to return to our regular lesson. The students are then returned to the lesson. It's easy to add Google Slides to my Nearpod lessons. I can do this in the Edit screen in Nearpod. I just click Upload Files as shown here, choose where I'm getting those files from. In this case, I would like to use Google Slides, so it's in my Google Drive. It will ask me to sign into my Google Drive, and from here I can see Google Slides and all of my other files in the drive. I can search for specific files, or I can use these that are showing up here because they were opened recently. I'm going to choose this file here. I then just click Select. It will give me an option of having a PDF viewer where participants can scroll through the slides at their own pace or individual slides. I'm going to choose individual slides. This may take a moment to load depending on how large the file is. From here you can see that it's processing. Once those files come in, you can move them around. You can even eliminate slides by clicking the slide and choosing Delete. You can actually duplicate those slides by copying and then pasting them. And you can even take the slides and convert them to Draw It, which would enable your participants to be able to annotate on the slides. And that's how you add Google Slides to your Nearpod lessons. Mathematical characters can be added to interactive activities in Nearpod. It's very simple. To show this, I will show in each of the activities how to access these. Under the Add Activities tab, we have the open-ended question to start. To add the math characters, I can choose this button here, and I can then add exponents. I can add symbols like this. I can also add different angles. I'll show this as well in a Draw It example. Here the characters function displays as soon as you click in the box to type. I can choose this and access the same symbols to be able to add into my question. And for the quiz, to show you where they are here, I open the quiz, and you can see that that functions button appears as well. For the poll, it shows in a similar place. To preview your activity to see if it looks the way you would hope, you can click this slide once and then choose the preview button here. And you can see here that I have my activity with the angles character here. To leave this view, I click the X. That's how you add math characters. You can use Microsoft Forms in your Nearpod lesson. To show this, I can go through the Office 365 login screen and just create a new form here, or I can do this from OneDrive by choosing Forms for Excel. I'm going to click Forms here, and I'm going to create a new form. Now that I've added my poll, I need to add it to my Nearpod lesson. To do this, I'm going to click Share, and then make sure that the share options allow anyone with the link to respond. I'm going to copy this link, and I'm going to paste this into my Nearpod lesson. In my Nearpod lesson, I can click Add Slide, Add Web Content, and then I just paste in the link from my Microsoft form. I click Save, and that form will be automatically embedded in my Nearpod lesson. To see what it'll look like, I can click Preview here, and it will show what it will look like for the students. You can see that the form shows up right there, and they can actually answer this. You can share the responses in an Excel sheet, as well as view them here. And that's how you add a Microsoft form to your Nearpod lesson. The new Microsoft Teams integration makes it easy to assign student-paced lessons right into your Microsoft Teams. To do this, you launch a student-paced code, click the Microsoft Teams button, and here you'll be able to add an assignment. You would choose where it goes, then a title for the assignment, any instructions you'd like to give the students, such as turn in your notes, any point values you'd like to assign, and then you just click Assign. From here, we'll show you how it shows up in Teams. In Teams, if you click Nearpod Homework here, View Assignment, and it will show a link that the students can click to be able to open the Nearpod lesson and participate fully. PhET simulations are a way for your students to interact with virtual math manipulatives and science experiments. To show this, I'm going to be creating a new Nearpod lesson. And here in the Edit screen is where I can add those PhET simulations. So I'm going to click Add Slide, Add Content, choose PhET Simulation, and here you can see that they're divided up by math and science, elementary, middle, and high school. I can click on any of these to preview them, and then I can play with the simulation. Once I see that it's appropriate for my lesson, I can click Done. It's been added to my lesson, and students are now all able to participate with the PhET simulations on their device. You can add hyperdocs to any Nearpod lesson. I'm going to show you how to do this from Google Slides. First of all, if you want to have a Google slide that has live links that students can click to open up other websites, you can actually have this look like a very seamless experience in your Nearpod lesson. First, you have your Google slide, and you go to File, Publish to the Web. Here you would choose Publish, yes, and then you have this link here. I can copy this link, and I'm going to add it to my Nearpod lesson as a website. So I'm going to add web content, paste in this link, and click Save. From here, I can then just move that website to where it needs to go. I'll put it right here, and you can see what it looks like in this way. So I'm going to show this in the preview mode, and I'm going to click through. This is my hyperdocs slide, and as you can see here, the links are live and can be clicked. I'll show this by clicking the Post-Training Challenge, which opens in a new tab for students. And that's how you add a Google slide to your Nearpod lesson that has live links as a hyperdoc. Adding a virtual reality 360 field trip to any Nearpod lesson is easy. All you have to do is open up the lesson in the lesson editor, choose Add Slide, then choose Add Content, and then you'll see there's a field trip icon right here. I'll click to open that, and you'll see that some field trips will show up here that you can just choose from here, but you can also choose some specific places. So for me, I'm going to choose Winslow, Arizona. And you can see I've got a couple of examples. So if I want to check one out and look a little closer, I click it once and then choose Preview. This will allow me to pan around and see if it's what I'm looking for. If it is exactly what I'm looking for, I click Done. That field trip goes to the bottom of the Nearpod lesson, and that's as easy as it is. You can take students directly to websites by adding any web content to a Nearpod lesson. I'm going to edit this one to demonstrate this. To add web content for students, I'm going to click Add Slide, Add Web Content. This leaves me a space to paste a URL. Here is an article from Time for Kids on the Notre Dame. I'm going to copy this URL, and then I'm going to paste it here. And I can click Save. This will take this element down to the bottom of the lesson, but then I can move it here so that it's next up. If I want to preview the lesson, I just click the slide I'd like to preview, click Preview. This shows what it looks like for the students. They'll be taken directly to the website, no need for them to know what URL to type. I can leave the preview by clicking the X. And then I click Save and Exit. And that's how you add web content to any Nearpod lesson. Once students have completed the Nearpod lesson, live or student paced, the report of that lesson could be found in the SpeedGrader. To show this, I'm going to open this lesson, choose SpeedGrader, and this shows the student report right there. You can see exactly how the student answered every question, every draw it, and how that they completed the activities. From there, the teacher can then assign a grade, and that goes back to the student. The first SpeedGrader report shown was a student-paced lesson. The process is identical for a live lesson. I can click Grades, find the live lesson I chose, and from here, choose SpeedGrader. This shows me the lesson, how the student participated, and how they answered every question. A grade can be added and feedback can be given. From the student perspective, those valuable Nearpod reports can also be viewed in their own grades. If the student clicks Grades, they can see their scores. Here, you can see there's both feedback and a score. We'll open this student-paced lesson. I have the teacher comment here. The student report generates and the student can see exactly how they answered every question as well. This is a great way for teachers to communicate with students and parents what's being learned at school and in this course. One advantage of using Canvas to deliver your Nearpod lessons is that it's easy for students to join and for teachers to launch the lesson. First, we're going to make sure that the module is published. I'm going to click here to do so. On the right, I have the same course loaded, but I'm going to demonstrate the student view by clicking Student View in Canvas here. Now, on the right, we have what the students will see, and on the left, we have what the teacher will see. This is a live lesson, so I'm going to open it by clicking the title of the lesson. And the students join the lesson by clicking the title of the lesson in the module as well. On the student side, the name is automatically generated from the Canvas account that's accessing the lesson. Test Student shows here. They click Join the session. They now have access to the lesson. The teacher can now see that there is one student joined, Test Student, and can now drive the lesson to the slides they'd like to. As the teacher advances the lesson, it advances on the student side as well. Students can then answer questions, submit their work, and have it shown on the teacher's side. The teacher still has all the functionality of Nearpod. You can click here to click Share, and can utilize the student answers to drive instruction. In order to demonstrate a student-paced lesson from the student experience, I've moved to Student View in my Canvas course. I'm going to choose Student-Paced Lesson as what the students would do. And And what they'll find is that their name automatically generates. They choose Join Session, and now they are able to go through the lesson at their own pace. The students can answer questions and then click Submit and move forward in the lesson. Accessing student reports is easy. I can do that from the Reports menu as I click it here from my library. You can see the most recently launched lesson at the top of the list. If I open that, it will show me all the sessions that were launched. If I open this session here, it will show me all of the data that the students have completed. If I want to download an individual student report, I can do that here with PDF Student View. I can choose the specific student I would like to look at, or I could choose all of them, and a folder with individual PDFs for each student will appear. I'm going to show this for just one student. Click Download. You can see here in this individual PDF report you have student responses, including drawits, any responses they shared on the Collaborate board, as well as open-ended questions and quiz results. And that's how you find a student report in Nearpod. Nearpod lessons found in the Nearpod lesson library can be edited. To show this, I'm first going to download a lesson from the Nearpod lesson library. I'm going to find one that looks good. I'll now click this lesson to open it. From here, as we did before, I click Add to my library. I can click Show in my library. From here, I can launch or edit the lesson. I'll usually find the lessons to edit in my library, which I'll return to by clicking the Home icon in the corner here. If I hover over the lesson, it'll allow me to click Edit. I'm then prompted to choose one option to edit the lesson right off or to duplicate the lesson and then edit the duplicate. I usually duplicate it just to make sure I have a copy of the master, but it's not essential. From here, this takes me to the Nearpod Edit screen where I can now go in, change any of the activities, delete any slides, or add my own. And that's how you edit a lesson from the Nearpod lesson library. A neat way to use Nearpod is to embed it on your blog or website. You can do this with a code that never expires, but understand that if you do it this first way I'm going to show you, it doesn't generate any report data, but is purely informational for those viewing your lesson. To show this, I'm going to hover over my lesson, click these three dots, choose Share, and then I'm going to go over here to the Embed code. I'm going to choose the size that I want, which is medium in this case, copy the code. I'm first going to show this in Blogger, a popular blogging website. You'll notice I'm in the Compose view here. I need to switch to HTML so that I can then post this Nearpod lesson. I'm going to go ahead and paste in the code from my Nearpod lesson. I'm going to choose Go Back to Compose, and you'll see the Nearpod lesson show as it's embedded right into my blog post. Participants will be able to go through, and again, no data will be reported, but they'll be able to see all my slides and see the lesson to review it. I'll also show this in Weebly, another popular website building tool. This one works a little bit differently, but you'll see that familiar symbol of the embed code here. I drag the element in, and then it will give me the opportunity to set the HTML code. I just click Edit HTML code, paste in that same code I showed on the Blogger site, and you'll see that the Nearpod lesson will show up in the website there. If you would like to collect the data from those participating in your lesson in a student paste format, you can choose student paste here, and you're going to want to make sure that you choose the proper expiration date for it. So you'll notice the default is 29 days remaining. However, we now have the opportunity to be able to choose up to 1 calendar year how long that code lasts. The code will expire on the date that you have set here. Data will be collected in Nearpod reports from anyone who opened and participated in this lesson. To get to the embed code, I will choose Embed here. Similar to the other screen before, I copy this code, and I'm actually going to embed this code here. Remember, I'm going to switch HTML. I'm actually going to delete my old code, paste in the new one, switch back to Compose, and you'll see that this will actually ask for a login screen, whereas the other did not. This will report back the data from anyone who participated. The same process goes for the Weebly. Any other place that you embed You just paste that code in. You don't need to know what any of it means. You just paste it in and it will show up in the blog or website.
Once logged into Nearpod, you can change your account options by clicking your profile picture, which may be a silhouette, in the upper right corner. This gives you these options to see your account. If you click this little gear next to your name, it will open up some profile options. What you can do is click Advanced here, and this gives you some toggle buttons where you can enable your account to be the way that you want for students. Enabling student notes, which will give students the ability to take notes during your presentation. You can have students be able to see their quiz results when in student-paced mode by enabling this toggle here. Allows students to resubmit answers. They will get an option to edit answers after they've submitted any interactive activity if this toggle is enabled. And then you can also enable Collaborate for student-paced lessons by clicking this toggle here.
Sometimes you may want to project part of your lesson and be mobile. On the right, we have a screen that is my iPad, and on the left, we have the computer screen that would be projected for students. To show how to drive lessons from both devices, I'm going to demonstrate this now. So first, I'm going to open my lesson, Live Lesson, and this is the code I want to use. I could also do this by launching a new live lesson. So I'm going to choose this code and choose Resume. I'm now at the beginning of this lesson. On the device on the right, I'm going to open that same lesson, and then it will give me the option to choose a live lesson. I have a list of codes of sessions I've used this lesson before, but I want to choose the one that corresponds to the one on the computer on the left. So I'm going to choose this QXGHU. Then I choose Resume. So what you'll notice is that the same slide appears on both devices. Usually whenever I am running this lesson for students, I will have the screen covered up with the code unless it's necessary to show them. I'll show you a couple of use cases to where this might be handy. One would be where I want to show a video. So I'm going to actually show this on the computer side here. You'll see I get the option once I do this video to share it to all devices. If I did that, all students would see the video and be able to stop and start it. But in this case, I want to just present it on my projector so that I can stop and start and we can have a class discussion. So I'm going to choose this device only. And as I play the video for the students, their screen says this video is paused on this device, whereas I can then play the video from my screen. So once the video is over, I cover up the screen and I'm going to go back to my device on the right here where I'm going to actually see the student data that I need to. So I'm going to actually find an example here of student data. And I'm going to say that I would like to be able to see all of the student answers. And you can see I can see the names on my side here. But if I were projecting, what I may want to do, if I wanted to for some reason show everybody's answers, choose this Hide Student Names button. So I could project this even though, as you can see on the right, I can see all of the student answers. Another option that you might want to use the projecting would be maybe for demonstrating. So I'm going to show you on this same activity here how I can switch from student view here. So I'm going to do this to show for students. So imagine I'm projecting what's on the left here, and I want to explain to them how to do this activity. I show them the different tools if I want to, and I show them how they're going to write on the screen. I can show them how they can add text, add a picture, and just really demonstrate the tools. And then I say, after we're done, you need to make sure and click Submit. So from here, I can then go back to my teacher view, and have the screen blacked out for students. And then as you can see on the right, I am proceeding through my lesson, I'm moving through, I'm explaining, but the students all have this on their device. So this is how you can run lessons from more than one device, and being able to to really have the slides change on both devices, even if you're not on the same network. You just need to make sure you're in the same session with the same session code. It's easy to launch a Nearpod lesson from your Nearpod library. Once you're logged into your Nearpod library, you can see here this is the home base. You hover over any lesson and you can choose a live lesson or a student paced. Any lesson can be launched either way. A live lesson is one where the teacher is driving the slides and changing them, and it changes on all the student devices. And a student paced lesson is one where the students can go at their own pace and don't need the teacher to drive to change slides. I'll now show you how to launch a live lesson. I click Live Lesson. A code generates that you can share with students via email, link, Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, and more. A student need only go to nearpod.com and enter the code as shown here. The code is not case sensitive. Once they have done this, they'll be prompted to enter their name, and then they click Join Session. The teacher can then control how the slides change on the student screen. A student-paced Nearpod lesson can be launched right from the teacher's Nearpod library. All you have to do is hover over the lesson and you choose Student Pace. As you can see here, any lesson can be launched either way. In a student-paced lesson, the teacher doesn't need to drive the lesson. I'll show you how to launch the code here. If I click Student Paced, a code generates. The students would then just need to enter this code in their screen. I'll show you this on the right. And just like in a live lesson, the code is not case sensitive. Once the students entered the code, they type their name and click Join Session. You'll notice the student doesn't need the teacher to drive the lesson. They can go at their own pace. All data from activities will be sent directly to Nearpod reports. And that's how you launch a student-paced Nearpod lesson.